Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Simsport Racing, the place to race here. Alex Goldschmidt and Steve Proudley back with you once more. Good evening, Steve. How are you, buddy?
Good evening, Alex. Yeah, I'm very well, thank you, mate, and looking forward to some fantastic GT4 racing with what seems to be a pretty full grid again this evening.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to have around 35 GT4 cars going into action as we make our return after the opening round of the ACC GT3 driver swap that took place at Suzuka. And once again, we are back in the Mie Prefecture once again. So let's have a look at what happened back at Monza. Aaron Walker and Stephen Haley respectively made it a 1-2 for Simply Race, so the Season 1 champion winning ahead of the Season 2 champion, with Adam Isalovic looking very good in the number 111 from Mercado Racing in the Mercedes. Rich Smith in the top 4 ahead of Kieran Vidago. Aidan Bro from Butler Power Motorsport rounding out the top 6 positions ahead of Chris Pinchbeck, who I understand is not competing due to the license rules that we have here at Simsport Racing. He is actually serving a race ban, so we will see him back for the next round at the Nurburgring in a week's time. Angus Martin, Rhys Wiggin and Gerard de Bar round out the top 10 positions. So effectively that's how the standings look at the moment. So we'll have a look at the championship table. So Aaron Walker has a 6-point lead over Steve Haley. Adam Isalovic on 38 with Rich Smith on 34. Kieran Vidago 32. Aidan Bro gets a very healthy 30 points for his initial score. And then we have quite a few other drivers down towards the bottom of the top 15. And looking at the team's standings now, Simply Race have an absolutely colossal lead of 54 points coming into round 2 here at Suzuka ahead of Simbro Sports, Mercado Racing, Apex Motorsport, Midlands Triple R and Investigation Team, which now has its duo reunited. Regan Mitchell now joined by Dave Hedges this time around with Black Mamba. HF Impala didn't have Tim Fulbrook, and it was a DNF for Michael Haffenden last time around, so they have got a bit of work to do in both their Porsches. And Steve, we saw when we found out that Steve Haley and Aaron Walker were going to use the KTM crossbows, we knew that there was going to be a point in which they were going to come under the kibosh, so to speak. And in free practice, we were finding that they were going towards the bottom part of the top 20. And that's not a good sign ahead of a 45-minute sprint race.
It's not, mate, no. I mean, the KTM it's not slow car, but it's difficult to extract everything out of it. And at Suzuka, the guys are certainly struggling. There's not the tight, twisty stuff to make the time up like they can on some other tracks. And the Porsche, the Mercedes, the BMW, they can really stretch the legs, and that's shown in practice tonight, as we've seen some cracking times. And I believe, from memory, the KTMs they were like well down, if struggling to get in the top 10 even. I think Aaron Walker was round about 14th in that last practice session. And where they're starting on the grid tonight, Steve Haley 14th, Aaron Walker 15th, as you said earlier, they're going to find it hard work to make a lot of progress, I think, this evening.
Well, let's have a look at the grid. Tim Fulbrook now returns for round 2. He effectively, in the 862 Porsche, will start on pole position. Alongside him will be Simon Wilkes in the 12. Sipa Vicious in the number 101 Porsche will have Regan Mitchell alongside. Then it's Jeffrey Wolf, Gerard de Bar, Rhys Wiggin, Angus Martin. This is where it all changes because of Chris Pinchbeck. No number 43 this evening. So Aidan Bro gets promoted to 9th ahead of Kieran Vidago. Rich Smith, Adam Isalovic, Steve Haley, Aaron Walker, Charlie Crossland rounds out the top 15 ahead of Mark Ranbury, Richard Emery, Ollie Gill, Andrew Ambro. Richard Pixley rounds out the top 20, followed by Mark Neutelings, Ibrahim Al-Alawi, Sean Buck, Stin Paspont. Yannick Muller now makes his return to the series for round 2 ahead of Denise Pope, Niall Schleter, Colin Dunn, Ranjiv Kelsey. Steve Allen has got personal reasons for not attending, so hopefully, Steve, we hope that from all of us here at Simsport Racing that everything's all okay. And we hope to see you back next week competing with us. Robbie Stapleford, who's been looking very, very quick in free practice with a 2-minute 10.3 here at Suzuka, about a quarter of a second ahead of Charlie Crossland. He starts from round 31st position, 30, I think it's 30, running at the top 30 ahead of Gavin Utley. Michael Haffenden starts all the way down outside of the top 30 with Baz Schuster, Daniel Parker and Cameron Fife. So a very, very interesting grid. Of course, a big thank you to those that tuned in for the first round of our GT3 driver swap that happened at this very circuit this past Sunday. And on November 22nd, we head to one iconic track after another for the 4 rounds. And next up on the 22nd of November, we head to the Arden Forest for the iconic Spa-Francorchamps circuit. 150 minutes, 3 mandatory pit stops, 2 driver teams. And I think already, Steve, we did have a team that was pinged for 1 driver going over the allocated time limit of 80 minutes behind the wheel.
We actually had several drivers who were disqualified from that race due to exceeding the time limit, the driver stint, which is really unfortunate for them. But it's it is the rules, and in the car on the MFD on the dashboard, it does count down their driver minutes. They will have seen it go into the red and into negative minutes. So obviously there's no sort of comeback from that. Basically, it is a DQ. You've exceeded the driver stint. So unfortunately, we off the top of my head, I think we saw 3 or 4 teams fall foul of that.
Well, as they say, rules are not meant to be broken. As we are waiting for the green flag to get things underway, and it's 30 seconds before the formation lap. And who are you all supporting? Don't forget to get involved via the relevant streams on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. And if you want to join the community, head to simsport-racing.com. And a big thank you once again to Mike Yao from Simply Race for once again providing. If anyone saw the race at Suzuka on Sunday, Fabien Piffet with about 12 minutes on the clock. Up the outside of Ivan Simsport, I think it was the 81 of Ivan. I can't remember his surname because I think it was so long, but it was a brilliant move. I think one of the best moves we've had in the last few championships. But now, Steve, it's a bit of a different story here for GT4 because we did have a deluge of rain for the driver swap. Now it is sunny, 5:05 p.m. So the drivers will be heading towards the dusk, as it looks like they've just had to briefly reset the server. There might have just been a slight issue there, but hopefully we'll get things underway. But the track temperatures there were looking rather sunny and radiant, weren't they? Yeah,
hopefully it stays like that. Otherwise the Maseratis will be parking up in the garage, I feel. Very difficult conditions for them if it rains. But yeah, just to say hello to Andrew Fife and Frankie Hallowell in the chat, both supporting Cameron. Hopefully Cameron will have a good race. He was struggling a little bit last season, was Cameron, in his first season, and we think we found a little bit of a technical issue as to why he wasn't getting full travel on his brake pedal, so obviously that would impede him quite a lot. So hopefully he's certainly found some more lap times, so hopefully he can convert that into some better positions. But I'm just looking at that starting grid, and we've got the likes of Tim Fulbrook on pole position in the Porsche. It's going to be difficult to beat, isn't he, if he gets a clean start?
Yeah, I think there's quite a few drivers that we've got to watch out for. If it's dry, Regan Mitchell will definitely be up there. I was looking at Aidan Bro's times in the 557 Audi. He was running in the top 6. And obviously the biggest thing is that free practice is going to be an indication of what pace they'll be able to set when the fuel gets down, the tyres have been rubbered in well and truly, the track has evolved. But we know for a fact that around this circuit here at Suzuka, Steve, it is not easy at all.
No, it's not easy, and there is a certain amount of tyre management. Yes, it's only a 45-minute race. It's a sprint race, lights out to flag, but you still, the guys do say the tyres go off, certainly in the last sort of 15 minutes or so of the race, and if you've preserved a little bit of rubber, which allows you to push that bit harder towards the end, then, it will give you a little bit of an advantage. But, preserving your tyres in these sorts of races can be difficult. Just depends how hard you're being pushed from behind or how hard you're chasing the man in front. So it's going to be exciting stuff. And that's an awesome shot at the moment that we're seeing there. Just look at all those cars on that grid. A couple of empty slots, but when they go around on the formation lap, those will all close up and they'll readjust their positions accordingly.
Yeah, one of them looks to be, I think, 10th position that might not be occupied. That could be possibly, I see a Porsche just behind. That might be Angus Martin that is due to start Oh, it's Kieran Vidargo, actually. My apologies.
I think that empty slot is actually the Pinchbeck slot because he will be down on the server as starting. So at this point, it would expect him to be there, but he's not. As I say, once they go on the formation lap, that's when it'll all adjust up.
Yeah, so that will give a few drivers an opportunity, and that will give Kieran Vidargo a bit of clean air between himself and Angus Martin. So 2 minutes to go until the start here. 20 degrees air temperature, 24 degrees track temperature. Good evening to the likes of Eric Dunn, who says good luck to Dunn Motorsport. Mark Ranbury is one of the duo in that. Ben Holmes is cheering on Ollie Gill and Mark Ranbury, and he said keeping it up close and personal once again. Yes, definitely out on track there, Ben. Don't forget, if you want to follow the live timing, head to pitbull.live. You'll need to log in. So if you've got an account, like say a Gmail account, you'll be able to have a look at the split times in terms of the sectors, like myself and Steve and everyone else are doing. There is actually a dedicated track map, and one of the good things is that you can also see sort of stints and pit stops. So, say for instance, the driver swap for GT3. I think it was the first time that we'd actually used it. So we are getting to grips with this, and we are still waiting. So, Steve, we had 35 plus cars going into turn one at Monza, and we held our breath. I think we're going to do the same here in Japan.
Yeah, I mean, Monza, it was a fantastic display of driving from all involved. They got through turn one with a few little minor taps, but no major incidents. Tonight, I would like to think would be a little bit easier, but it's still turn one, isn't it? Turn one of any track's always awkward because it's the closest that they're all going to be together. But obviously, you know, there's race points on the license, and nobody's going to sort of win from that T1. So they just need to try and keep it clean, follow each other through, get into a rhythm. The GT4s, as we said before in previous seasons, you know, the tyres and the brakes do take a bit more warming up than the GT3s. They have no tyre blankets to preheat them either, so they are starting on cold tyres at this point when they go on the formation lap. So when they take the green light into turn one, the tyres are far from optimal.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, looks like we're about to have our second attempt at a formation lap, and leading them away will be the number 862 of Tim Fulbrook. Then Simon Wilkes rounds out the front row. Karolis Sipavicius and Regan Mitchell, row 2. Jeffrey Wolf, Gerard Debar, row 3. Reese Wiggin and Angus Martin complete the top 8 positions ahead of Aidan Bro, with Kieran Vidargo just behind. Rich Smith in 12th ahead of Adam Isalovic. Now, these are the actual grid positions, but obviously with the way that the server has provided it, there was a big gap where Chris Pinchbeck should have been. So Kieran Vidargo ahead of Rich Smith, Adam Isalovic, Stephen Haley, Aaron Walker, Charlie Crossland, Mark Ranbury, Richard Emery, Ollie Gill, Andrew Ambro, and Richard Pixley rounding out the top 20. Then it is Neutelings, Al Alawi, Buck, Paspon, Müller, Pope, Schlitter, Dunn, Kelsey, Stapleford, Utley, Haffenden, Schilstra, Parker, and Fife as they now make their way through towards the far part of the circuit, into the left at Dunlop, before the two right-hand Degners, a very famous part in terms of Formula One circles, when Heikki Kovalainen, when he was driving as teammate to Lewis Hamilton, went off quite spectacularly one year, and that McLaren was very much second-hand. It is a corner that really can catch people out, especially with how fast Dunlop can be, Steve.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Dunlop, it's all about just being patient on the run into Dunlop and getting your turning point right, so you should be able to power all the way through Dunlop. But if you just get it slightly wrong and you start pushing wide, then you will have to lift off. And then, of course, obviously, that, like you say, it leads into the Degners, which are two very, very important corners because they're very fast, and you can quite easily end up off the track, as you pointed out there.
Yeah, so Dave Hedges starts from last position, 36th behind Cameron Fife and Daniel Parker. So 45 minutes on the clock, and the sunlight is starting to fade a little bit as the air temperature has dropped to 19 degrees Celsius. The server time, local time, is 5:12 p.m. So I think, Steve, we could have a bit of a a daytime to sort of dusk racing affair over the next 45 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it'll hit darkness in any way, shape or form, but that sun may get a bit lower and it may affect some of the viewing into some of the corners, and just might take away some of the brake markers for them if they're blinded by the sunlight. But yeah, it's going to be a dry race. I think that's the important thing this evening for the GT4s, and more importantly for the Maseratis. And just watch those Maseratis, because Dave Hedges in the pre-race practice this evening was it third fastest, I think, Alex, with an absolutely fantastic time of 2 minute 10.7, which in a Maserati they had difficult cars to drive. I can't emphasise that enough. So, and this is Dave's first race outing in the Maserati as well, so it'll be interesting to see how he gets on.
Yep, Chris Crossman, good to hear from you on the chat, buddy. I think Regan has to be one of the favourites considering his starting position. I pretty much concur with that one. Max the Bulldog says, good luck, Robbie Stapleford, starting all the way down towards the back part of the top 30 as we now head our way through into the Casio Triangle for the this time around. We will go racing through the corner known as Last Curve. So, ladies and gentlemen, round 2 of the 3rd season of GT4 here on Simsport Racing, about to get underway. Hold on to something, wait for it, and see how it all unfolds. The lights are red currently at the moment. We're waiting for race control to give us the signal to get things underway here in Japan, as Suzuka is the 2nd round out of 6 here on Simsport Racing. Wait for it. Hold on to something. Hold your breath. They push the accelerators to the floor. The lights have gone green. We are off and away, heading down to first corner for the first time. And it looks like there's a great start from Tim Fulbrook. And up the inside, possibly that could be maybe even. Super Vicious trying to get through as the two Simbro sport cars go side by side. Debar and Wolf giving each other a lot of racing room, and that is very, very neatly done by Jeffrey Wolf. So it looks like Gerard Debar has got up into 5th position. Super Vicious coming under.
That's one of the Simply Race cars is off. One of the KTMs is off.
Oh, crikey. So in many respects, that's an early disaster for those one of the drivers. And to be completely truthful, I'm wondering who the heck is. That's Aaron Walker, the points leader. He's tumbled to the bottom of the field, and within the first. And oh, there's another car that's in the wars as Dave Hedges looking to really try and keep Aaron Walker at bay. They go side by side through one of the Degners, but oh my goodness. Sibavicius now trying to close on Fulbrook, who is still leading. Oh, that's the number 20 of Gerard Debar, and he's backwards into the barriers.
So it's all happening on the first lap, unfortunately. Just a couple of small incidents on their own, but Tim Fulbrook has held on to that lead, and it was a fantastic start from Tim. As those lights went green, absolutely on the split second, the front end of that Porsche lifted as he hit that accelerator hard and managed to maintain first into the first couple of corners. But he, as you say, he's come under a lot of pressure now, but it's Porsche on Porsche, so it's down to the drivers at this moment in time, and let's see if the slipstream gives the car 101 any assistance here.
Yeah, Super Vicious not able to close on Haffen and going, sorry, not Haffen, to Fulbrook, my apologies there, going through into 130R. Didn't try to do the Alonso v Schumacher as in 2006 as Regan Mitchell and Simon Wilkes. Oh, that's a great switch back there from Regan Mitchell. That Maserati really well planted.
Wilkes missed his braking point completely going into the chicane and just opened the door up for Mitchell. And obviously we know Regan Mitchell doesn't need asking twice, does he? And he's taking that position, defending it into the first corner now, but he's surely going to hold on to that.
Yeah, Rich Smith rounding out the top 5 ahead of Angus Martin, Kieran Vidago, Reese Wiggin. Steve Haley, in the meantime, has got past Adam Isalovic. So I think that's probably as a result of that incident with Gerard Debar that put the number 20 backwards into the barriers on the previous lap. So it's not looking very rosy for a lot of drivers, including Aaron Walker. So he's now got to be he's got to have the fire stoked in the belly and really has to push forward, as we are 3 minutes in, and the gap between the leaders is just over 0.2 of a second as Paul Media shouts on, come on HF Impala. And I'm just trying to keep an eye on where Michael Haffenden is at the minute. He's currently now up into P27. Oh, Wilkes runs wide, and so does Rich Smith. And they're all at it. And there's Angus Martin trying to he's coming under fire from Kieran Vidargo. So let's have a look at this replay here. And this is the KTM incident. And who's Aidan Bro gets turned. I think he got turned around there, Aidan Bro, and that might have been from Kieran Vidargo. So let's just keep with, let's just keep with this. There's Adam Isolovic, I think, just up ahead. Oh, Walker just lost the back end on his own. It snapped to the right, and it just spat him out into. So I don't know whether the back end just lost traction there all of a sudden, Steve.
Yeah, it did. It looked like he just basically was pushing. He wasn't quite on the line. Haley had the line, and he was pushing off line, and it just stepped out on him. And obviously, these things are very fickle, and it just went round on him. But didn't look to pick up too much damage there, and I don't think there was any harm done to anybody else. And Aaron has got a bit of pace, although they are struggling here. But what Aaron will aim for now, I would think, is let's not forget the reverse top 15. So if he can get anywhere near 15th place for pole position next week, that has to be his target now. Although he's way down in, I think, 29th at the moment, so that is a tall order still. There's another incident in the hairpin.
Now look, this was the incident I was waiting for a replay for. So Jeffrey Wolf was ahead of Gerard de Bar. Angus Martin was behind. I think there was a touch from the Porsche on the BMW, and that sort of really started the domino effect. As old Simon Wilkes goes sideways to the left-hand side, very much Tokyo Drift going through the first corner, and that means that Rich Smith now up into 4th position. Aidan Bro has recovered somewhat at the moment. He's the Butler Powell Motorsport driver, now up into 22nd position. But Sipa Vicious is not letting Fullbrook get away. Gap still just over 0.2 of a second as we've got, we're on lap number 3, just over 5 minutes down, just under 40 to go. Sipa Vicious going for the lead as we now go to a replay. Now here's a better angle here. Yeah. Okay. Oh no, it was the two teammates. The teammates collided, and then that started the concertina effect just behind. A big thanks to Mike Yow for that better insight there. So the two Simbro Sport drivers coming to blows, unfortunately there, and I definitely know for a fact there will be some words sort of like saying, "Hang on, mate, hang on, buddy, you're my teammate. Come on."
Yeah, for sure,
but,
for sure.
But it does happen. It does happen.
It does happen. We've seen it happen amongst teammates, and everybody's racing. You know, they're all race drivers, and they're all racing for themselves as well as the team. But I mean, this battle at the front now is really hotting up. It's also given the chance for Regan Mitchell to close up. He's there or thereabouts a second behind. And we know that Maserati is a handful, but in these conditions and in Regan's hands, it's not a bad package, and he certainly knows how to hustle it round Suzuka.
Yeah, the gap's really getting close. I mean, Pixley is just, last time around was just 90 thousandths ahead of Steam Passport. Stapleford 0.2 off of the 444 Ginetta, then Raddenbury a further 0.363 adrift, and then Aidan Bro nearly 0.2 of a second adrift. So these gaps, when you look at it, from Yannick Moeller downwards, they are starting to concertina as Pixley closing on Denise Pope for 17th position. Sipa Vicious really in the slipstream now, goes towards the outside on the run down to first corner, and it was the margin between them was 23 thousandths. If Sipa Vicious can keep this round the outside, oh, he's gone for it, but Fullbrook very wise. Sipa Vicious keeps it round towards the outside, but Fullbrook, as soon as Sipa Vicious went towards the outside of the first corner, I knew for a fact that Fullbrook would still have the run on the 101 there. And look at Regan Mitchell. He's like a rat up a drain pipe trying to catch these two.
Yeah, and another man on the move in a Porsche is Charlie Crossland. He's up into 7th place, and literally about 3/4 of a lap ago he was down in 10th. The other man that's struggling a little bit is Haley. He's in 9th place and not really making a lot of progress at the moment, so that KTM is proving a bit of a handful. Vidargo has dropped down to 10th, so he's obviously had an incident that's dropped him off. But yeah, Crossland making progress in 7th at the moment. And let's not forget Rich Smith in 4th. I mean, he's 2.2 behind Regan Mitchell, but if these three guys that we're watching now start struggling, that Mercedes in the background will start to catch them up.
Okay, right, let's go to another replay here. And this is with Wilkes, and I think this is the incident we're going to be talking about now here. Angus Martin is just behind. They go into 130R. Wilkes goes wide. Go into the Casio triangle. Vidago's around the outside of the BMW. Martin's there with them too. Oh, Vidago just sends it in there, turns around Wilkes, and then gets put onto the gravel on the left-hand side. And that gave other drivers just behind us. It's side by side for the lead. Here we go into 130R briefly. Sipavicius now has got the lead from Tim Fulbrook heading towards 130R. So that was a very, very good move from the 101. But
he'll be looking to see what he can do now on Sipavicius. He'll be wanting to basically try and gap Fulbrook, although I'm not sure how easy that'll be because he will have been fully aware of Mitchell closing in third place. Rich Smith, as I said, he's got that gap down to Regan Mitchell now. He's gone from 2.2 to 1.6. So the top four are all pretty much together on the tarmac at the moment.
Yeah, so we've got the number 18 of Ollie Geel, and it looks like Ibrahim Al-Alawi is actually just behind, and then Yannick Müller in the number 77 Mercedes. That's a great scrap there, and that is for 11th positions. Al-Alawi goes towards the inside of Geel. Müller tries to go past as well, and the Mercedes looking to hang it around the outside of the first corner. Geel runs a little bit wide. Al-Alawi takes the tighter line, but Müller looking for the inside. That was close as ever you could call it. Some great respectful driving between this trio, and some great camera angles once again from Mike Yao as Al-Alawi still trying to close on Geel, and he's I think he gave him a little bit of a love tap from behind there, going through into the latter part of the Snake Complex here at Suzuka. But great racing up and down the field at the moment. Aidan Bro has now gone himself back up into 18th position now, as Al-Halawi now trying to go towards the inside, and then they go into the Degners. Al-Halawi, Muller nearly made it 3 wide. That's brilliant stuff. Well controlled, guys. Brilliant stuff. But then Muller runs a little bit wide coming through the second Degner.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great battling. It's just showing the talent in this field because it's Muller currently that holds the fastest lap of the race as well, all the way down in 13th place where he is at the minute, 12th, 13th. So it's it's just showing the depth of talent we've got on the track this evening. Some great racing and some great camera angles as we're seeing now.
Yeah, a 2-minute 11.571. Muller has set the fastest first and second sectors out of anybody. And the drive, I'm just having a look up and down. So head to, if you want to catch up with the live timing, it's Pitwall. I think it's pitwall.live if memory serves me correct.
It is, Alex. Yeah, pitwall.live.
So I had to double. I did a bit of deja vu there, Steve. But yeah, this is getting really, really hot and heated under the collar here because Sipavicius has gapped Fulbrook to around about 7/10 of a second, but Regan Mitchell looking very, very quick indeed. And on the last lap, actually, Rich Smith, who was the quickest out of the top 4, he did a 2:11.796.
Yeah, and in fact, Fulbrook is showing us the slowest in the top 8 at the moment, although he's just gone and done a 2:12, which has improved how it looks on the timing sheets at the minute. So they're all lapping pretty much similar times, all within sort of half a second, certainly the top 4, 5 and even 6.
Yeah, so we now go on board. Oh, Yannick Müller trying to go around the outside and has a little bit of a tussle fest with Al-Halawi. That unsettles the back of the Cayman, and Müller gets through into what is 11th place. And now we'll have to, as Ollie Geel's lost out big time there, so whether there's been a little bit of rubbings racing, I think, maybe between the trio that has caused Ollie Geel to drop down to what is now 13th position.
Yeah, it's easy done here at Suzuka, isn't it? If some of the corners are so fast that if you're ever so slightly offline, you just got to lift, and once you lift, that's the opportunity to the following driver. And as we said so many times, these drivers don't need second invites. But just looking at Regan Mitchell, he's 1.4 seconds off the lead at the minute, and it's not really looking like he's able to close that gap down because they're lapping pretty much all within a tenth or two of each other, those two guys at the moment.
Yeah, Mitchell's up into second past Fulbrook. Rich Smith hanging on in there. Angus Martin a little bit further behind, about 4.4 seconds behind, is he's got a warning shot fired across his bow, and that is from Charlie Crossland. Isalovic, Vidago, Haley, Wilkes, they round out the top 10. I'm just having a look a bit further down the order, so if we can possibly head to the likes of Aidan Brodown in 16th place. He's currently 1.273 seconds behind Andrew Ambro. There is the Butler Powell Motorsport 557 Audi, and he looks to be closing that gap to Ambro quite considerably, and that's not 1.2 seconds. Bro last time around did a 2:13.968 as they now head up the hill towards 1:30R.
Yeah, I mean, while we're talking about these guys down in the mid-pack, I mean, Stapleford, who was showing some fantastic pace in practice, he started around about 31st, and he's up to 20th now, I believe. He's moved up the place. He's up to 19th now, so he's making great progress, and I can see him getting into that all-important top 15.
Yeah, there's Stin Passpont. We go on board now with Tim Fulbrook on the right front corner. Ben Holmes says, "Come on, Ollie, get a wriggle on." I'm sure he's probably keeping an eye on the live chat that we've got at the moment. Track temperature starting to drop a little bit here by a degree. We're fast approaching the conclusion of the first third of this race, so just under 31 minutes remaining. And you're right, Steve. That sunshine is going to start glaring in onto the screens of the drivers on the simulators at home, and that's going to be a real true test, because with Assetto Corsa Competizione, from a realism standpoint, you can just see how hard these drivers will be pushing, as I think Nigel Schlitter went a little bit wide going through part of the Snake Complex here.
Yeah, and the race this evening is going to keep the championship alive, because the two KTM boys, as we know, Walker had his incident at the beginning and he's really struggling, as we see in Kieran Vidago off again at the hairpin, I believe that is. Obviously, I think maybe just outbrakes himself, but we might get a replay on that one. But yeah, Haley's really struggling. I've just looked at his lap times, and his personal best is a second off virtually everybody else ahead of him, so there's no way, really, realistically, without mistakes, that he's going to push much further forward than his current 9th position. So that's disappointing for those boys, but you know, you have good tracks and bad tracks, and unfortunately for the KTM tonight, it's just not suited to this track.
Well, as they say, that is racing. Yellow flag just briefly retracted, so we're back to full course green flag racing conditions. Dave Hedges up from 36 to 22nd, and he's putting in some fairly competitive lap times. He's running in the 2:15.3s, and considering this is his first time in the Maserati, and deciding to brave it with fellow teammate, an investigation team, Regan Mitchell, Stin Passpont trying to close on Richard Pixley in the number 7 Ginetta, Andrew Ambro, the number 13 BMW, just up ahead. Aidan Bro's got himself now up into the top 15, so Bro is really doing a good job, and he started what was effectively de facto P9, and after that first lap incident, he's managed to keep himself composed. Multi-time OTL ACC champion, if memory serves me correctly. He also qualified for the Le Mans Invitational for the Le Mans Esports this year. So he is not exactly a slow driver. He's got 3.4 seconds to find to close up on Richard Emery in the 1:15 BMW. Then it's Ollie Gill, Ibrahim Al-Alawi, with Yannick Muller rounding out the top 11. And Muller is 85 thousandths adrift of Simon Wilkes. Stin Passpont trying to find his way past Pixley at the moment. Now here is a replay, and this is the Dargo incident. And just up ahead, that looks to be Adam Isalovic, and he goes absolutely banzaiing up the inside through into the hairpin. And unfortunately, Mark Neutlings has just said his brake pedal's been acting up, so Mark Neutlings out of the race, as Stin Passpont really, that's Reese Wiggin just up ahead in the kind of Augusto Farfus DTM colours when he was running it with BMW, which then went to Sheldon van der Linde as DTM closed its Class 1 era this past weekend at the Hockenheimring, as Rich Smith now ahead of Tim Fulbrook. So you were definitely right about the Mercedes, you were definitely right about the Porsches, but to have a Maserati thrown in that mix, you were singing the praises of Regan Mitchell, and he's definitely delivering at the moment, Steve.
He is, and I think his teammate Dave Hedges is as well, because obviously, like we said, started down in 30-something, and he's made really good progress to being 21st currently, and only 1.1 behind 20th position, which is Robbie Stapleford, who we've also mentioned is pretty quick. As we're just looking now, it's looking like they're trying to make a move on. That's Hedges in the background there.
Yeah, on Stin Passpont, who runs wide, and that's going into the Casio triangle. So Passport gets the position back. It's all concertinaing behind Hedges at the minute, so you'll have the likes. You've got Mark Brandenbury there. There's Andrew Ambro.
Yeah, it looks like Wiggins lost out to the other Ginetta as well. So it's although they're having a bit of a drag race as we speak down the start-finish line, and it's a bit of a rubbing there. Just give me a bit more room, I think you were saying, and into turn one, and the Ginetta's Bickley has got the advantage there, and it's like Wiggins got attacked sideways.
Gets attacked from behind by Robbie Stapleford.
Yeah, he managed to hold that really well done, and it was the lightest of touches. But at that sort of speed, when the car's light and unsettled, it can often be enough just to turn them around. But Reece Wiggins did really well to hold on to that one there. But it would appear he is somewhat the cork in the bottle, isn't he?
Yeah, I very much agree there. I mean, you can just see how battle-scarred that car is. He's definitely been in the trenches, hasn't he, Reece Wiggins, as Rich Smith actually isn't getting away from Tim Fulbrook. So Fulbrook looks to have gotten a bit of a second wind, so to speak, and he's been running in the 213 ones. Oh, but Charlie Crossland has put an absolute blinder. Number 66 from Team Fordzilla at 2:11, 2:53. So
absolutely, yeah, and he's up to 5th place as well. So he's not many miles away from these boys in 5th place, 2.5 seconds as he just comes into shot there in the background. So once you've got that visual aid of seeing the guy that you're chasing in front, that really does encourage you, and can sometimes eke out an extra tenth or two here and there on the laps, all to the to catching the guys up.
Yeah, it was Reece Wiggins. Oh, goes very wide, and that is through. I think that might have been. That's Stapleford
that's got through on him, but it looks like Passport is also going to try and make the move as they head down the back straight now as well.
Yeah, that was through Spoon Curve there, which basically is a left-hander that tightens back on itself.
This is going to be interesting into 130R. Someone's got to give.
And it's Stin Passport that does so. Yeah, very, very close indeed. But look at the closing speed from Dave Hedges. He's trying to go side by side with the Ginetta into the Casio triangle. That nearly could have let the door open for Michael Haffenden, who's now up into 22nd position, as we have 24 minutes and 37 seconds on the clock still remaining here on GT4 Season 3, Round 2 at Suzuka. We head to the Nurburgring in a week's time. But Reece Wiggins absolutely holding on like a champ at the minute.
He is. Sorry to interrupt, but Charlie Crossland's now in the 210s. He's gone even faster on that last lap. So as I say, that visual aid of seeing the cars up ahead, he's really got the hammer down now, and he's chasing them down.
Well, okay. Well, talking about chasing people down, Edinburgh within the last 3 to 4 laps has closed on Rich Emery, and look who's just ahead. It's the battling duo of Ibrahim Al-Alawi and Ollie Gill, and they're battling for what is effectively 12th position on the road, and they've gone side by side through Dunlop. Oh my goodness me. Into the first Egner. Al-Alawi gets it. Gill runs wide. This is going to allow both Emery and Edinburgh to close up. And Gill looked to go through underneath the bridge ahead of Al-Alawi, but the number 21 very much wanting to stay ahead. And this is where it's getting really interesting now, because it seems like, well, that's a great turn of pace from Edinburgh out of the hairpin, up the inside. He goes on Richard Emery. Oh, that was absolutely textbook from Edinburgh there. And now he's got Ollie Gill and Al-Halawi clearly in his sights.
Yeah, absolutely. The guys were defending hard into the hairpin, and that just opened up the opportunity when Rick was defending on the inside there. But absolutely fantastic driving from these four now, and they're just swapping positions left, right and centre as we're back on board now, watching Rich Smith has closed right up on Regan Mitchell. He's just under 4/10 off him now, as you can see on the screen, with Fulbrook just dropping back to just over a second. But he's falling into the clutches of Charlie Crossland as well. Look how close he is now.
Oh, this is going to be absolutely mega. Look, Rich Smith trying to go around the outside of Regan Mitchell, who forces the number 76 to go wide, but there was enough racing room given there. As you see in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, you've got Al-Halawi, Gill, Bro, and Emery within probably, what, 8 car lengths from front to back, effectively, with the gaps. And look, there's a slipstream dodgem fest going on between Al-Halawi and Gill, who's going to put it round the outside of the number 21 Porsche. He's going to try and go for it, but Al-Halawi will have the racing line. Aidan Bro is being really, really decisive and very, very patient, and that's why a team like Butler Pal Motorsport have actually signed him because he can race at the front of the field, but he can come back as we now see it absolutely kick off. Fulbrook coming into the clutches of Crossland. So we've got 2 4-way scraps. The first one for second position, the second one for 12th. This is absolutely dynamite here at Suzuka for the second round of the third season for GT4. What a job by all these drivers. As again, Gio looks to the outside of Al Alawi going through the second Degner, but Aidan Bro, if he's lucky, if he gets a good run, they're going to go to the hairpin. Gio goes on the defensive. Brow towards the outside. Oh, bit of grass cutting there. Nigh on rally crossing from Ollie Gill. And Aidan Bro trying to do the same thing, going up the inside of Ollie Gill at exactly the same point where he passed Richard Emery. Brilliant stuff.
And on the bottom screen, it's Fulbrook going up the inside of, on the outside, sorry, trying to defend from Crossland at 130R, and he just about keeps Crossland behind, although I thought Crossland was going to get him then. And as they're heading into the chicane, ready for the start-finish straight, Charlie's maybe going to sight him for a slipstream battle down the start-finish straight.
Yeah, as there's another one going on towards 130R. Al Alawi still leading the way of that battle in 12th position. Crossland looking towards the inside now of Tim Fulbrook for P4. We go on board with the number 66 Porsche. Let's see if Crossland's going to be brave on the brakes towards the inside. He actually stays behind at the minute, but closes up in the braking zone. Now lets the car rotate. A little bit of dust being kicked up. I think that was from Rich Smith there. As now Bro has lost out a little bit of time to Al Alawi, but Charlie Crossland has kept in front of Tim Fulbrook for what is now 4th on the road.
Yeah, absolutely. Did really well to keep him behind there. I thought Charlie was going to maybe try and make a move, but again, Charlie showing some maturity and didn't dive into that first corner, which on some occasions some drivers may have done. But yeah, great driving from everybody there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, nicely done by a lot of these drivers. It really has been a true treat for us here at Simsport Racing. Why not join the community? Head to simsport-racing.com and get involved. Why not come and race with us? Why not be a part of the community? And a lot of drivers that have been with us have gone on to do better things, but they learnt their craft here. Very, very important. Quite a few of them. We have over 600 members in our community, including founders, moderators, admins, contributors, and also a lot of drivers that have really, really made the further expansion of our community so pleasurable. And to see great racing, as I've just spotted Aidan Bro, he's trying to do the number on Al Alawi. He's gone round the outside of the Porsche at the hairpin. He's trying to do the old switcheroo. He's got it done. Nicely done.
Absolutely
3
fantastic.
manoeuvres on the same part of the track. That is a sweet spot for Aidan Bro. I think we need to talk with that individual after this race.
Absolutely. He manages to get that Audi hooked up coming out of the hairpin, doesn't he, and gets the drive. As we're looking at Crossland now trying to put a move on Regan around the outside into the chicane, giving him on the inside obviously on the exit, but didn't quite get that done. But he will be hot on the slipstream now. We'll just see how fast that Maserati is in a straight line, as Charlie's not hanging around in the slipstream. He's got better drive out the corner and he's on the inside of the Maserati.
No, it's Fulbrook battling away with Rich Smith. So this is the possibly decisive move for second position. Up the inside goes Charlie Crossland, heads towards the outside of the corner and then cuts back in, not allowing Regan Mitchell an opportunity to counter-attack, as now Smith and Fulbrook side by side for the briefest of moments. However, Fulbrook keeps ahead for the minute.
Yeah, fantastic battle between these 4 guys, and it's been going on for quite some time, although Charlie Crossland's he's new to the battle, but now he's found himself at the front of the battle just through outright pace and making some good overtakes. So it'll be interesting to see if Crossland can sort of close up now on the leader, who's a couple of seconds up the road. Yeah,
it's all a case of what's going to happen as Al Alawi about to lose the position. Another brilliant move from Aidan Bro. Okay, thank you very much for that, our broadcast director. So I thought he'd done the move intentionally there, but yeah, it was the case. There was a bit of contact. So Al Alawi will be looked on favourably by stewards because the pair did have a little bit of a coming together. As now Rich Smith just is trying to do his absolute utmost to get past Tim Fulbrook. But at the moment, it's not quite working out for the 76 Mercedes. Some cars will overheat their tyres, as you very well pointed out, and I'm wondering whether Rich Smith is having to work with an animal that's slightly wounded.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the guys have been pushing for nearly 30 minutes now, so tyre wear will start to come into it. And let's face it, that none of them have really had an easy time out there. They've always been battling with somebody from the minute those lights went green, haven't they, Alex?
Yes, indeed. We're fast approaching 16.5 minutes remaining on the clock here at Suzuka for the second round of the third season of GT4 action here on Simsport Racing. Don't forget, please get involved as much as you can. And it's going to be very much a case of seeing what happens, as now Regan Mitchell has lost out to Tim Fulbrook.
Yeah, you were quite right. You spotted that a few laps ago that Fulbrook was getting second wind, and he certainly has, because he's not only has he got past Smith, he's got past Mitchell as well, and he's got himself back onto a podium position, which is fantastic. And he's even stretching a bit as Rich Smith goes a little bit wide, trying to go around the outside of Mitchell. That's not going to work, and a little bit of contact there as they go into turn two, but all good and both in the right direction and still racing.
Yeah, so we go to a little bit of a battle a bit further down the order. Rhys Wiggin now actually in 24th position, ahead of Buzz Schistra and the number 16. Then also you've got Gavin Utley and good old Ranjiv Kelsey just behind in the number 47 Porsche, as they are now making their way down. We've got Gerard Debar, who was in the barriers earlier on. He's back out on circuit ahead of Steam Passpont, as Mark Randenbury in the number 75 from Dunn Motorsport.
Mark's looking to try and get in the top 20 because they all score points down to 20th position. And
it looks like there's been a bit of an incident a little bit further back, and that looks to be Baz Schilstra and Gavin Utley, I fear. A little bit of contact, I'm afraid, but Gerard Debar looking to try and close up, as now Pixley he's coming under fire from Mark Randenbury. Randenbury could get the run for the next inside apex, but going into what is effectively Dunlop. Debar having a really good run on Randenbury, as Haffenden in 19th, as they absolutely swarm their way into the first Egner, as Haffenden has a bit of a moment coming out of the second Egner, going underneath the Bridgestone Bridge, but still keeps it on the black stuff. Some great racing all the way through, up and down this order at the minute, and just having a look, we still have 35 out of the 36 cars still out on circuit, I believe, as the last classified driver still on lap number 13 of this race is Aaron Walker, all the way down in 35th position.
Yeah, absolutely. Aaron's still circulating in what must be a very difficult race for him this evening. He knew he didn't have the pace from the start, and then to go and lose it and drop it in one of the corners, pretty much all on his own from what we saw. It's a little bit a bitter pill to swallow, but at least he's kept racing. He's kept the faith, and he's putting the lap times in and basically getting some track time in the KTM. Not much else he can do this evening, I don't think.
No, so at the moment, with just 13.5 minutes or so to go, here is the running order. We've got Karolis Sipavicius leading the way, 2.48 seconds ahead of Charlie Crossland. Tim Fulbrook rounds out the top three, with Rich Smith and Regan Mitchell, who are now on board with the number 69 Maserati, rounds out the top five ahead of Yannick Müller, Adam Isolovic, Kieran Vidargo, Stephen Haley still rounding out the top 9 ahead of Simon Wilkes in the number 12. Aidan Bro is 3.5 seconds behind the number 12 BMW. So Aidan Bro, with the pace that he's been showing, and he's running in the 2:12.5s, Wilkes has just done a 2:14.7. So Aidan Bro, if he does that kind of consistency, running in the mid to high 2:12s, he could really have that opportunity to move forward and get into the top 10. And look, he's already got that down to 2.3 seconds. So I fear that Simon Wilkes will have his opportunity of having to defend quite sternly from Aidan Bro. Let's go to another replay. Here's Rhys Wiggin. Now, this is possibly the incident from earlier on. Shilster tries to go up the inside, tags Wiggin. Oh, and then nearly gets the tag from Utley. Oh, yeah, well, they touch twice. And then for added measure, Gavin Utley gets a hit from behind from Ranjiv Kalsi, who really didn't have anywhere to go.
Absolutely, yeah, he just got caught up in an incident that wasn't his own. But looking at Regan Mitchell in fifth now, trying to chase and stay with Rich Smith and battle for that fourth place. But I tell you another position that's interesting to watch at the moment, and that's Dave Hedges. He's currently in 16th, but he's more importantly, he's lapping faster than Richard Emery in 15th place, and he's lapping a good 2-3 tenths a lap faster than Rich Emery, and he's closed the gap down now to 2.2 seconds. And the reason I'm talking about that 15th position is because when the reverse grid's done for next week, that will turn in, the 15th will turn into pole position. So that'll be very nice for Dave Hedges for next week if he can start on pole.
There's Denise Pope. She's in 28th position ahead of Jeffrey Wolf. So not a great day in the office for Wolf. And DeBar's having a bit of a better day in the office because he was backwards in the barriers earlier on in the race, but now he's in P19. And Denise Pope's front and rear bumpers look a bit battle scarred, unfortunately. But good to see someone like Denise trying her absolute utmost. She and her partner Evan Natafas back at the GT3 driver swap at Suzuka. They had a really, really good run. They ran it. I think they finished within the top 20 as we head into the last 10.5 minutes. And Angus Martin has just had an instant disconnect, so that has put him out of the race. And he was running in the top 10, so down to 34. And Angus Martin now cheering on Michael Haffenden, who was 2 tenths behind Andrew Ambro. He was 2 tenths ahead of Andrew Ambro, who was actually closing. But then Haffenden is 3.7 seconds behind Dave Hedges. And with time fast running out, dusk is starting to fall here at Suzuka as we go on board through behind the front radiator grille, that big gaping mouth of that Mercedes. Heading into Regan Mitchell, Maserati. My apologies there. It looks so similar. That's the problem with the onboard. it does look a bit not too dissimilar, doesn't it, from this sort of angle, Steve?
Yeah, as your teammate in the comms box, mate. Yeah, I'll concur with that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. To be fair, I am a little bit distracted because Dave Hedges has got the gap down to 1.6 now, so he's absolutely monstrously taking time out of Rick Emery for that 15th place and pole position next week. But Rich Emery is only 2 seconds off 0.2 of a second, off Ollie Geelin 14, so that could be a three-way battle to watch very, very soon.
Yeah, Aidan Bro has absolutely decimated that gap between himself and Simon Wilkes. It was at one point 3.5 seconds. It's now just over 6 tenths. Make that just over a tenth and a half. Aidan Bro is absolutely hell-bent on going for that 10th place position. And look, they're going through the first corner. Bro really looking for his opportunity to strike. Well, you know that the old saying that lightning can sometimes strike twice. Well, with Aidan Bro at the hairpin, it struck 3 times within 4 laps. So could he be measuring up Simon Wilkes going into the hairpin like we've seen him do? That's been his sweet spot for Bro all the way through this race.
Yeah, and I think he's pretty much put that move on most of the manufacturers in the field. So I was going to say, let's see how the Audi fares against the BMW for getting drive out of the hairpin. But I'm not sure. I think he's already done the move on one BMW. So be interesting to see. He's following close enough. I think, like you say, he's just setting it up. He's just following him close now. As we go through the Degners, we're going to see him go into the hairpin. It'd be interesting to see what line he takes and how much pressure he puts on Wilkes.
Yeah, because he did that on Richard Emery earlier on. He's gone to the outside. He's gone to the inside. Now look, you can see he's trying it again. He gets a really good run out of the second half of the hairpin. I don't think it's going. Yeah, I mean that's where his real opportunity is. So he's passed a couple of Porsches. So Ollie Gil, Ibrahim Al Alawi. Oh, Kieran Vidargo's got a drive-through. I think that might be for track limits.
Indeed, it will be. But yeah, I was going to say Edinburgh really takes a wide entry into that hairpin, whereas Wilkes goes wide and gives Edinburgh the opportunity to go up the inside as they head onto the backstretch now. But yeah, he really sort of squares off the the exit of the hairpin because of that wide entry in, which allows him to get the power down. And he's now got Wilkes, by the looks of it, on the straight as they're heading towards a 130R. Is either of them going to lift?
Not Aidan Bro, but Simon Wilkes does.
Well, absolutely. That was fantastic move.
Yeah, great spatial awareness from both drivers to get that sorted. So Aidan Bro will now effectively take what is going to be 9th place because Kieran Vidago serving the drive through. Oh, Ollie Gill, shortcuts the chicane there. That will be a mark against him for track limits, but he might have just outbraked himself. So, yeah, Bro up into 9th, Wilkes into 10th. Aidan Bro can do as much as he can to try and get the gap between himself and Steve Haley, who's in 8th position, as Richard Emery currently there or thereabouts, and Dave Hedges breathing down the back of his exhaust pipes in the minute. This is going to be an interesting battle, and Michael Haffenden I've just spotted in the distance.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think because Vidago pitted, I'm waiting for the timings to update, but maybe Hedges might actually be in that 15th position now. I'm not sure. It's showing Vidago is in 12th. I thought he maybe lost more positions than that, but we shall see. Yeah,
he was running in 8th place, so effectively that then promoted Steve Haley up to 8th, Aidan Bro, who'd got past Simon Wilkes, up to 9th, and Wilkes effectively re-inherited. And Bro runs a little bit wide there, and that was Stim Passpont up the inside in the 444. So not been a race for a lot of people, but Steve Haley, despite all the trials and tribulations with just over 5.5 minutes remaining, is doing a very, very much a damage limitation race affair here, isn't he? He's not making mistakes. He's keeping it calm, keeping it composed. Whereas Aaron, trying to put the power down on the very first lap, had a bit of a snap oversteer, and then that caused him a problem.
Battle for the lead, mate. Battle for the lead.
Yep, Sipavicius did have a 2.5 second advantage about 3 or so laps ago. We're on to what is now effectively lap number 19. So Charlie Crossland within 7/10 of Karolis Sipavicius as we go into the last 5 minutes of the race. And Crossland really looking good, having got a lot of confidence coming into this round because of the fact that both him and Fabien Piffet won took second position in the opening round of the GT3 driver swap, which will have its second round at Spa-Francorchamps next Sunday. You can just see that Sipavicius is trying to make the Porsche as wide as possible, but Charlie Crossland having absolutely none of it.
No, and Charlie will push now, and he'll be aware, obviously, that he's got 4.5 minutes left to do this. He's got the pace on Sipavicius because he's caught him. He's, just outright pace has managed to catch him. But catching and passing are two different things. But Charlie's a wily young man, and he will certainly look to put pressure as he goes down the outside there. That's far too deep. That might just have cost him too much time now. He's got a big gap to make up again now. He's not done himself any favours there whatsoever.
Yeah, I think that was he thought that might have been his only chance, and yeah, that's a real shame. That was going into the hairpin. But with the pace that Crossland has been showing, he's been running. Well, they've been running sort of like pretty much concurrently in terms of the times. A 2 minute 12.813 for Sipavicius, and Crossland last time around was a 2 minute 12.843.
I'm just looking on the somebody who has impressed me this evening from practice to now. He was fastest in the pre-race practice before we jumped into the race. Is Stapleford, who started in around about 31st position, and he's now up to 12th place. That's a fantastic drive. With a lot of cars passed in between, obviously.
Yeah, well, he's not that far behind Al-Alawi, who look that it was showing 7.5 tenths of a second, but look, he's got Al-Alawi and also Wilkes ahead. So Stapleford has got a chance within the next 2 minutes and 50 seconds to have an opportunity of getting into the top 10, having come from right at the tail end, Charlie, the field. As this trio now makes its way through into 130R. Al-Alawi trying to close on Wilkes, going into the Casio triangle, darts to the left-hand side. Wilkes goes on the defensive. Wilkes goes off onto the grass. That allows Al-Alawi to get through. Stapleford's going to get the run through the corner. And Wilkes runs a little bit wide. Stapleford timing it to perfection, just waiting to see if there was an opportunity. But this time, Wilkes stays ahead for the minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. Stapleford showing some sort of maturity and some talent there, just to know when to push and when not to, and decided to pull back in. Although he was looking to try and get a title line into turn one there, but we're back to the lead now, and Crossland's made up for that mistake, and he's right back on the tail again as they go into the hairpin once again. On the previous lap where he made his mistake, and he's turning his Porsche very, very tight, but just so well matched, these drivers and these cars, aren't they? It's going to be very difficult for him to get the pass done. It's going to have to be something pretty special in the last 1 minute 40 seconds.
Yeah, because after this lap, we're going to go on to the final lap of the race, as they've been running in the 2-minute 13s. Crossland had a disadvantage. When he had that mistake at the hairpin, Steve, he ended up having a deficit of a further 1.2 seconds. They now exit out of what is effectively Spoon curve down onto the backstretch. So Crossland will have 130R, the Casio triangle, last curve, and then a full lap of Suzuka to try and get past Supervicious. Tim Fulbrook still rounding out the top three, so it is a top three for Porsche at the moment. Into the last 60 seconds we go. Into the Casio triangle goes Charlie Crossland, runs a bit wide onto the grass. He's going to have to give the place back to Supervicious, which he does so now. Nicely done there by Charlie Crossland, I must admit. So we now head on to the 21st and final lap of this race, and it's been enthralling. Crossland in the slipstream, right up towards the first corner.
Is it going to be third time lucky for Crossland? That's 2 attempts and 2 strikeouts, so let's see if he can do it on a third go. He's got the inside here, but it's going to turn into the outside for the next corner. He's going to do well to hang it round there, and indeed, he's contact, but yeah, all good.
That was the slightest amount of rubbing contact there as they now head, as Charlie Crossland sort of flashing the old lights and now has put the beams on. So this means that Supervicious is being told, right, here's your warning shot, and this is my final opportunity, as Crossland goes a bit rallycross style there, loses a little bit of time to Supervicious as they now will make their way past the Ferris wheel through into the Degners for the final time. Degner 1 now negotiated. Into the right at Degner 2, under the bridge before they head to the hairpin.
This is it.
Crossland, yeah, this is going to be the make or break move for Charlie Crossland, as the timer now strikes 0. Just a few corners to go. Crossland looking to try and do his utmost as Michael Haffenden closing on Dave Hedges for what could be round 3 reverse top 15 pole position. But it's getting really, really close between Crossland and Supervicious. They're now going to head into Spoon Curve for the final time. Crossland has really got to put the hammer down, get the absolute maximum amount of traction coming through the second part of the corner, which he does, runs a little bit wide, but keeps the throttle pin to the floor, headlights ablaze. This could be really make or break, couldn't it, Steve?
It's going to be into the braking zone for the chicane, isn't it?
Yeah, into the Casio triangle on the last lap. Let's see if Crossland does go for it. He's gone to the outside, and he's going to try and measure it. Supervicious holds a tight defensive line. Crossland's just got to keep it neat and tidy. He's got right on the back bumper of the 101 through the final corner. It's going to be a drag race. Crossland now sweeps to the inside. The drag race well and truly on, but it's going to be Supervicious that takes the victory by 0.129 seconds after 21 laps here at Suzuka. Oh my goodness me!
We're back to the battle for 15th now, which is pole position for next week. Hedges defending on to the last from Haffenden in 16th. Really being pushed now as they go through 130R, but Haffenden's not really close enough, I don't think, to do anything in the braking zone.
Well, that's if he's not brave enough to do it there. Abraham Al-Alawi will take what is effectively 10th position, as Robbie Stapleford will complete the top 11 positions. Charlie Crossland takes 2nd, Tim Fulbrook 3rd, Rich Smith 4th, Yannick Müller 5th place ahead of Regan Mitchell, as last dash attempt by Michael Haffenden, 98 thousandths separated Haffenden from reverse grid pole, reverse top 15 pole for next week at the Nurburgring. Yeah, 98 thousandths. That's how close it can be, as the virtual flares, the smoke has been let off in the grandstands to welcome the drivers. But what what a race.
What a
Just
race.
literally
I was going to say, what a race and what some fantastic performances throughout the field. And again, just go back to Stapleford, who finished in P11, starting in P31. So, I mean, that's an absolutely awesome drive. It's just fantastic. Seeing Aaron Walker now, he's circulating in 33rd after his mishap on the opening couple of laps. And as we say, the cars are not suited to Suzuka. It's been a struggle for these boys in practice. They've been quite some way off the pace, really. So they just, Steve's done well to bring it home. Was it in 8th? Steve brought it home. Yeah, he came home in 8th. Aaron Walker's going to bring it home in 33rd. What that doesn't do for Aaron, though, is do him any favours for next week. So he will start way down the grid. He'll start where he finished, basically. So he's going to have it all to do next week as well. As
we see, Colin Dunn, the 34th and final driver to be classified here at Suzuka. But it is a win for Kalores Sipavicius in the 101 Porsche. What a race, Steve. Brilliant dueling from both him and Charlie Crossland. I think Tim Fulbrick's going to be happy that coming back he'll be going on the podium in 3rd place. But I think, we want to hear from you people whilst we're doing the interviews. Who is your unofficial driver of the day? I think one person that stands out for me for his brazen overtakes around the outside at the hairpin, Aidan Bro in the 557 Audi. That's definitely one mention. I think Rich Smith has to be another. Regan Mitchell still fighting until the bitter end. But in terms of your sort of drivers of the day, or people that you think deserve a really good mention and consideration for this, Steve, who's in your top 3 or top 5?
I think in the top 3 you've got to have, like I say, Robbie Stapleford. I think Dave Hedges. I mean, he's had an awesome drive for his first time out in that Maserati. Again, he's done not quite as well as Stapleford, but to bring it up from 30 odd up to 15th position and pole position for next week, that's all he could ask for this evening, I think. But yeah, it's just been so many good performances throughout the field, because there's been a lot of hard battles going on all the way through the field. Charlie Crossland, he's made up the positions, he's battled hard, he's battled sensibly, and just couldn't quite get it done. Finishing in 2nd, a good strong position from him. So yeah, I think just so many drivers have had good races. And I think there's been more good drives this evening than there has bad drives, as it were.
Okay, well, looks like we've got some interviews to do, so we're going to now head down to the interview booth and speak to some of our drivers from the 2nd round out of 6 for Season 3 GT4 here on Simsport Racing. Right, okay, well, first up, let's have a chat with Charlie Crossland. Charlie, some great battling, some great pace you were showing all the way through. You managed to catch the likes of Rich Smith, Tim Fulbrook, Regan Mitchell, but it was so close at the line, just over a tenth separated you and Carolis for the race victory here at Suzuka. So 2 second places in 2 events. You must be feeling good about a bit of run of success here on Simsport.
I should have got the win, to be honest. I had to avoid about 5 collisions, but it is what it is. Could have done better, but just not amazing. Yeah,
I mean, with regards to, like, say, the when you tried to go for the move on the hairpin, you went towards the outside. I mean, that was you lost a bit of time, but you instantly clawed that back. I mean, your setup was pretty much switched on for it to be that close at the end of the race.
My setup was just my Zandvoort one from a while ago, and somehow worked it, so it's pretty good.
Well done, Charlie. Congratulations on 2nd place, and we'll see you next week for our 3rd round at the Nurburgring. You looking forward to that circuit?
Yeah, should be another Porsche track, so yeah.
Good man. Well, Steve, I'll hand another interview over to yourself, good sir. Do you want to have a chat with our race victor?
Absolutely, yeah, Carolis, fantastic drive, buddy. You got to the front early on and had it all your own way for a long time until Charlie caught you up there. But you defended well, you defended hard. Was the race what you expected?
Actually, it went much better than I expected, because I felt like today was a bit slow compared to other days when I was training. But yeah, somehow I managed to pass through and then get some safe margin. But yeah, Charlie was just so fast. I just couldn't. I just didn't have as much front grip as he had, and it felt, and he was just catching me everywhere. So I had to make my car as wide as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. We could see on the stream that Charlie was managing to turn his car in a lot tighter than you were, and it was his was responding better through the corners. But you did a fantastic job defending. But what that does mean now, obviously, for next week, you start in 15th position, so you've got it all to do again to come through the cars to try and get forward to the podium. Will you change any tactics for that, or is it just business as usual and lots of practice?
Yeah, I guess I'll just follow Charlie through. He's gonna be in front of me pushing the corridor, so I hope I will use that. But yeah, let's see how it goes.
Well, that won't be a bad tactic. Just all I'll say is good luck with keeping up with him, because he seems to have a lot of speed in that Porsche, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's very fast, very, very fast.
Yeah, congratulations and thank you very much.
Thanks again. See you soon. Bye.
Thank you. Tim Fulbrook. Fantastic race, buddy. Great result. You got to be pleased with that one.
Oh, well, I mean, the last time I was on the podium, it was season 1. I was in a Ginetta, benefited from a reverse grid for race 2, which is exactly what's happened this time, except I'm not in a Ginetta. So, yeah, really happy with that. I didn't feel like I had the pace, outright pace, but I felt like I raced well. There was a couple of mistakes that I really should have I could iron out of my performance, which would really help. I felt like actually I matched Carolis across the race pace, just the mistakes and then getting into a battle with Rich Smith and Regan Mitchell early on kind of dropped me off the back of him. But yeah, really happy with that. I went a whole season without a podium in season 2, so I'm happy to be spraying the virtual champagne tonight.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah, and when we were watching, it was Alex that called it, to be fair. You sort of lost a couple of positions early on. Like you said, there was some hard battling between 4 of you right from the off. And you seemed to be the one that lost out early on. But then, as Alex said, you almost got a second wind, and within no time, you got back past, it was Rich Smith and Regan Mitchell again. And, was that in your mind? Was it like once they'd got past you, did you feel like you were going much slower than them? Did you think they had the speed on you, or was it just, like you say, maybe a mistake or two that you knew you had the pace?
I mean, all kind of as a group of us really that were really closely matched, and those mistakes definitely dropped me back, and I think they were quicker than me into the crucial kind of overtaking points, like at the hairpin. So I felt like I was getting hassled, but then once I dropped back behind them, I felt like I had the pace to keep them under pressure. I actually caught up to the back of Regan and Rich when they were battling, and there was a bit of a gap. So I felt like I closed the gap and was consistent really across the race. At the weekend, Michael and I did a 6-hour race in the Cayman on iRacing. It's a very different challenge. So it was relearning the car, relearning the tracks for this race tonight. And I felt like I overcame the challenge. And I'm really pleased to get that podium.
Yeah, well, I mean, championships are made up of consistent performances, buddy, and that was a good performance from you tonight. So well done. Alex, have you got anything to add with Tim?
Well, considering the fact that you were our runner-up for season 2, it's good to see you back with us, Tim. Great performance. Getting the whole shot on the start, beating everyone to the inside of turn 1, but to still come back and fight and make it a Porsche 1, 2, 3, but to help HF Impala. But it was really good to see from another perspective. Obviously, Michael had a DNF in round 1 last time out, but he also made great strides through the field and was within a 1/10 of a second of getting the top 15 reverse grid pole for next week at the Nurburgring. So hats off to you both, really. Yeah,
thank you. I feel like we're still learning this car. We're still trying to get on top of it. Obviously, we've accepted the challenge of changing car every season. So this is the next challenge, and to get a podium in race 2, I kind of feel like we're starting to get on top of it. And obviously with Michael coming up through the field, which was a cracking result, really helped him, I think, bounce back from the disappointment at Monza. So yeah, really happy with this evening's race, and hopefully this is a start of a nice championship run like we had last season. So fingers crossed for Nurburgring next time out.
Well done, Tim. I think we've got time for one brief interview. one of our reigning and defending champion, Steve Haley from Simply Race. Steve, firstly, despite all the trials and tribulations that was thrown your way, and also Aaron's, you still managed to pick up 8th. I know that Aaron managed to cross the line in 33rd, but it was a track that you guys quite clearly struggled at, especially in free practice, where we saw you both sort of round at the bottom part of the top 20.
Yeah, it was an interesting race to say the least. The KTM seems to be loved by SRO, especially at Suzuka. It felt like as soon as you're on a straight, it like you had an air brake on the back, and then when you was in the slow corners, it felt like you were driving on marbles. But as the race goes, I'm quite happily take 8th, to be quite honest.
Yeah, Mr. Proudley, have you got anything to ask our good friend here?
No, just well done on bringing it home in 8th, mate, because it's never easy to not be fighting for those podiums and sort of certainly the top 6 when that's what you're used to. But it, again, as I said to Tim Fulbrook, championships are made up of consistency, and if that's the best you could do tonight, which I believe it is in that car, like I say, you did very well to bring it home there, and it's all points, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, both Aaron and I, we wasn't kind of looking forward to. We was looking forward to the race, of course, but we wasn't looking forward to being kind of having to, really fight tooth for nail for it, I guess. But I mean, it is what it is. I mean, we should have been lower down than where we were. I did see some accidents, and I managed to make up some places through them, so I thank them guys. But yeah, all in all, can't complain. Beyond to Nurburgring, where I hope that we're going to be. I think Nurburgring's the next round, where I hope we're going to be a little bit more, where we can fight a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely, mate, and hopefully we'll, with the reverse grid as well, that's sort of, you're going to be starting higher than you started this evening, so it'll give you a bit more of a fighting chance from the off, won't it?
I'm hoping so. Yeah, I'm hoping so. We'll just have to see what next week brings.
Nope. So we'll, all that's left to say is well done, Steve, and well done to everybody that's at the race this evening. And we'll
hang on a second.
Oh.
Hang on a second. We've got. Thank you very much, Steve. But let's have a chat with the number 557 of Aidan Bro, also known on Twitter as Aid the Ace. Let's see if we can have a chat with him. Good evening, Aidan. Firstly, good to have you with us here at Simsport Racing. But what a comeback after the first lap, dropping you all the way down outside of the top 20. And I think you literally pulled, the rabbit out of the magician's hat 3-4 times going through the hairpin. Well done. Great driving to get back into what would eventually be ninth position at the flag.
Yeah, cheers. I mean, it's good to be racing here with these bunch of guys, but I don't actually know what happened at turn 1. I didn't really see it. I thought I was clear on the inside, and there was a car there, like it just appeared alongside me, so I don't know whether it was a bit of a ambitious move, but I was down and out. I was about, I think I was 34th and as I rejoined, and I can't say the red mist didn't descend, and that's a little bit and just kept me going, but yeah, pulled off some decent moves, and I just had to try and be patient, picking my way through. But yeah, really happy to benefit from a few extra places at the end to get into the top 10.
Yeah, and obviously next week we head to a second home for the car that you're currently driving, the R8 GT4, heading to the Nurburgring. Is it a track that you really do enjoy?
In all honesty, I enjoyed the Nordschleife. The GP layout I'm not such a fan of. I never seem to go that well there, so hopefully next week I can do that instead of sort of being mediocre there instead.
Okay, well, Aidan, thank you very much for taking the briefest of time to talk to us here at Simsport Racing, and well done tonight for that great comeback through the field, and all the very best of luck for next week.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Cheers, buddy.
Right, Steve, let's head back up to the main commentary box, and we'll get things closed out for another week. My goodness.
That's it. Another week over. Some more fantastic racing finished. Some great drives, some great moves, some great camera work. Just another fantastic round at Simsport Racing Season 3 GT4.
Yes, so firstly, a big thank you to Mike Yao once again from Simply Race, our broadcast director, pulling it out of the bag. Once again, some great onboard camera shots. We'd like to thank all of you that have been watching through the relevant streams through Facebook Live, Twitch, YouTube, and if you are watching on the Simsport Racing YouTube channel, please don't forget to like this video. Also, hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell to let you know when we will next be racing. So that is it from us here in Asia. So we head from Suzuka and we head to the Eifel region of Germany, to the Nurburgring in just a week's time, which will mark the halfway point of the season. After that, the following week will be Silverstone before Spa-Francorchamps hits the penultimate round on round 5, and Brands Hatch Grand Prix will round off the third season in style. Also, we have our GT3 driver swap second round happening, but there is so there you can see the 22nd of November Spa-Francorchamps, the 6th of December Mount Panorama, and the 20th of December will be Autodromo Nazionale di Monza that will close out the 4-round calendar. Steve, once again, mate, a pleasure to be by your side, and a real pleasure to be a part of this community here at Simsport Racing.
Yeah, just going from strength to strength with everything that we're doing at the moment, with the streams, with the commentary, with the racing, just absolutely everything. And it's great to be involved and working together to achieve the best we can. So thank you to you, Alex, for being on board as ever.
No worries. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for watching. Above all, stay safe, take care. We'll see you next week. See you in 7 days. Goodbye for now.